Hey, fellow problem solvers, Colfax Math here. The way you get good at juggling is practice. The way you get good at standardized math tests is practice. What I have today is a calculus placement exam. So this is the exam you take after 4 years of high school math, including trigonometry and pre-calculus. This is a pretty hard exam. I have 10 sample problems here. You need to have paper and pencil out in front of you. If you could do these 10 problems, then you're probably ready for a college level calculus class. This is not a military placement exam. This is to place in a calculus in college. So with that said, what I would do is have that paper and pencil out, pause the video, do the problem before I do it, select your answer, unpause the video, and watch how I solve that problem. Okay, so with that said, let's go ahead and do number 1 right here. There are a few different topics I'm working under, so this is under domain of a rational function. Pause the video, give this one a try, unpause the video, watch how I do it. Okay, what is the domain of this function? Well, the first thing there's a lot to unpack here about a domain is you know that denominator cannot be 0, so the bottom cannot be equal to 0. The other thing you need to know about a domain is you cannot take the square root of a negative number, right? So whatever that negative number is. So you can't have a negative in a square root, and you can't have a denominator equal to 0. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to set that thing x squared minus 9 equal to 0 to figure out what it can't be. So x could be 3 or negative 3. So this is the things it cannot be. So I look up here. These are all brackets. One important thing to note is that square bracket is inclusive. The round bracket is non-inclusive. So just this one right here would mean x is greater than or equal to 3 and less than infinity. And that kind of makes sense as well because it can't be equal to infinity. So I know that x cannot be 3, so it is not inclusive of 3. So I can't include 3, so this answer will not work. And I know it's going to be an open window, so the only one that works is answer B. 3 could be anything between negative 3 greater than or less than, all the way down, or it could be 3 greater than. Let's just pick an example there. Something that would be in this set would be 4. 4 plugged into here would be 16 minus 9. 7 square root of 7 would work, and that would work. All right, so number 1 is B. Moving on to problem number 2, inverse functions. Again, pause the video right here, give this one a try, unpause it, watch how I do it. Okay, on this one, f of x and y are the same thing, and is saying find the inverse function. The way I find the inverse function is I switch my x's and y's. So wherever there's a y, there is now an x. So this is y, becomes x. It is equal to 2y plus 1 over y minus 3. So again, the way I find the inverse function is I replace my x's and y's, and then I solve for y. So I need to get y by itself right here. I'm going to cross multiply to get x, y minus 3x is equal to 2y plus 1. Now I'm going to get all the y's on the left, all the x's on the right. So I'm going to subtract 2y on both sides, and I'm also going to add 3x to both sides. So xy minus 2y, negative 3x plus 3x, those cancel. Those cancel. I have 3x plus 1 right here. Now I'm going to factor out the common term of y, giving me x minus 2 is equal to 3x plus 1. Solving for y, I divide both sides by x minus 2. These quantities cancel. If I do that to the left, I also do it to the right, x minus 2 on the right. I look up here, the inverse function is equal to 3x plus 1. That one right there is the only one that works, over x minus 2. So the correct answer is answer A. 2 for 2 so far. Let's keep going. See if we're ready to take college level calc or if we got to do a little more studying. Okay, problem number 3. Evaluate f of negative 3 for the piecewise function. So the function is x squared plus 1 if x is less than negative 2. 2x if x is greater than negative 2. So here's negative 2 on my graph. It is a parabola, it looks like this. And then on the other side, where x is greater than negative 2, it's a line. 2x looks kind of like that. I don't know if that's really going to matter. The important thing we note here is that our independent variable negative 3 is inside of this window right here, x squared if x is less than negative 2. If x is less than negative 2, it's inside this window. So I'm going to take that negative 3, plug it in here. Negative 3 squared is 9. 9 plus 1 is 10. Correct answer, C right there. 3 for 3. All right, let's keep going. Moving on to number 4 right here with asymptotes. Pause the video and give this one a try. Again, this is a no calculator test. To figure out my horizontal and vertical asymptotes, those are going to be the same thing as a domain. Things that x cannot be, which are vertical asymptote, or y cannot be a horizontal asymptote. I look right at this problem and I see a perfect square in the numerator and a factorable quadratic in the denominator. So I'm going to start there. X squared minus 4 is x minus 2, x plus 2. Let me just quickly double check that. X squared minus 2x plus 2x, middle term drops out, minus 4, over x. X factors of 6 to give me a 1 are going to be a 3 and a 2. One of them's positive, one's negative. The large one has to be positive, smaller one negative. Now that I have that and that will cancel. So I know here that x cannot equal 3. So graphically, x cannot equal 3. I'm going to draw that asymptote through x at 3. So that is my first asymptote, x equals 3. It's only going to work right here at vertical asymptote, x equals 3. That's the only one right there. I could keep going for my horizontal asymptote, but I'll be able to answer it that way right there. Moving right along to number 5, halfway through here. Find the solution set for the inequality. This same, very similar quadratic, factors of 6. To give me a 5 is going to be x into 6, x into 1. Either they're both negative or both positive. Let's see here. No, that's actually not going to work. There's no way for them both to be positive or negative. Factors of 6 to give me a 5 are going to have to be a 3 and a 2. They're either both negative or both positive. Negative 5 in the middle. Let me double check that. X squared minus 3x minus 2x plus 6. That works. So that means zero sum property. These two things multiplied together, and I'm going to pretend it's a 0 for now, is equal to 0. Either x is equal to 3 or x is equal to a 2, right? X minus 2 would have to equal to 0. Solution would be 2, 3. I think that's the only way it's going to work. I could pick some other numbers looking at these other answers, like a 0. A 0 and a 0 is going to give me a negative times a negative. There's no way that's going to work. So I see this is my solution. Answer B is the correct answer right there. 5 for 5. Let's move right along to number 6. Now what we're doing on number 6 here is we're looking at exponential and log functions. These are always going to be the property of logs. Right here, I have addition of functions, which is going to be the same thing as multiplication. So right here, this is log base 2. I could combine these because they have the same basis through multiplication. X minus 1 times x plus 1 equals 3. Now I could use the definition of logs. Base to the exponent equals that. So 2 to the power of 3 is equal to this. I'm going to multiply that out to get x squared minus x plus x, middle term drops out, minus 1. 2 to the third is 8 equals x squared minus 1. I'm going to set that thing equal to 0. Subtract 8 from both sides. Oh, no, I won't. Actually, I'll just stay right there. I think I'm going to add 1 to both sides. So I have x squared, adding 1 to both sides, is equal to 9. X is equal to plus or minus 3. So there are two solutions in that algebraic equation, but they are logarithms. I can't take the log of a negative. Negative plug back in here is going to give me a negative 4. That's not going to work. I discard that answer. Only answer that works is x is equal to 3. Answer A right there. Moving right along to number 7. Got a lot going on here. More logs. So pause the video, give this one a try. We got different properties of logs here. This is an expression, not an equation, nothing to solve. I'm just simplifying. I'm looking at those answers. I can just kind of see where I'm going. First thing I think I'm going to do is take that 2 and put it up here for the first property of logs. These are both base 10, and they're adding so I can multiply. So this is log of x squared plus, x squared times y, x squared times y, or x squared y, minus 3 log base 10 of z. First property log says that 3 could go up here. I am subtracting, going backwards on the quotient rule of logs. I could divide. So I have log of x squared y over z cubed. And I could see right here, x squared y over z cubed. Answer C, 7 for 7, or need to do a little more work. Moving right along to number 8 right here. Exact value trigonometry. Evaluate 5 pi over 6. It is saying I start on my x-axis, rotate counterclockwise 5/6 of the way to pi. 5/6 of 180 is 30. Have to know this triangle, 1, 2, root 3. Don't forget your negatives. I'm traveling right to left, and I want the cosine of that. Cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse, negative root 3 over 2. Answer B right there. Problem number 9, simplify the trig identity. I have tangent times, or divided by secant. So I have tangent of theta divided by is the same thing as multiplying by 1 over secant of theta. And that's going to be equal to sine of theta. Tangent is sine of theta over cosine of theta. 1 over secant is just cosine of theta. These will cancel, giving me sine of theta. Correct answer, answer A right there. Last problem, number 10. Pause the video, solve that equation, and then we'll see how we do. All right, problem number 10. Solve the trig equation 2 sine of x minus 1 equals 0. What I need to do there is solve for x. I'm going to add 1 to both sides, giving me 2 sine of x is equal to 1. Divide both sides by 2. These cancel. Sine of x is equal to 1/2. What I am saying here is my opposite is 1, my hypotenuse is 2. So the way I would do that is take the arc sine of both sides, inverse sine of sine, they cancel. If I do that to the left, I also do it to the right. That's going to happen in the first quadrant where the opposite is 1, the hypotenuse is 2, or over here in the second quadrant, 1, 2. I recognize that as a 30, 60, 90 triangle. So that's 30, that's 30. So I am 1/6 of the way to pi, and I am 5/6 of the way to pi. If I wanted an infinite solution, I would create a series, but there's a domain attached here between 0 and 2 pi. So those are the only two answers I want. Correct answer, answer A right there. This isn't a comprehensive test by any means. This is just a quick review to see if you're ready for college level calculus. 10 practice problems from pre-calculus, Algebra 2, Trigonometry, the things you need to know to enter college calculus and be successful there. Thank you for watching. Any questions at all, please post them in the comments.